Hello boys, welcome back to another session of video tutorials, and this session is meant for class 11th biology boys, and this is meant to be seen on 30th June 2020. If you recollect from your memory, we were talking about anatomy of flowering plants. This is chapter number 6, anatomy of flowering plants. In this we talked about the very important and unique tissue that is present only in plants and that is responsible for growth of plant throughout the life. That's meristematic tissue. And we talked about the various types of meristematic tissues present on the location, like apical meristem, intercalary meristem, lateral meristem, and then based on origin also we talked. And then we also said that the other side of it is permanent tissues. The permanent tissues are the tissues that have lost the ability to divide, lost the power of cell division. Then we say permanent tissue. They can be of two types: simple permanent tissue and complex permanent tissue. Simple permanent tissue, we said three types: parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma. And now in this session we are going to talk about complex permanent tissues, which are of two types: xylem and phloem. What is the difference between simple permanent tissue and complex permanent tissue? In simple permanent tissue there is only one type of cells and they have lost the ability to divide. In complex permanent tissue there are more than one cells, more than one type of cells, and they too have lost the power of cell division. So complex permanent tissue has got more than one type of cells. What are those? Let's see. Basically, complex permanent tissues are of two types: xylem and phloem. And the moment you hear the word xylem from your background, previous experience, you know xylem is a tissue that is responsible for transportation or conduction of water and minerals. So since it is responsible for conduction of water and minerals, you know water and minerals will be somewhere very deep in the soil. That means the root has to break the big rocks, stones, pebbles, all that, and penetrate down the line. Sometimes the water may be present deep down, like something like 100 meters. Still the root penetrates, and now the xylem starts making the transport system. So it forms a continuous channels, like you must have seen in your own town, the water pipelines, like that. There is a continuous channels. It's concerned with the transport of water and minerals, provides mechanical support like a machine, and composed of four types of cells. What are those? Tracheids, first one. Second, vessels. Third one, xylem fibers. Fourth one, xylem parenchyma. So you got four types of cells that make xylem. First one, xylem tracheids, xylem vessels. And xylem tracheids and xylem vessels, they are responsible for conduction of water and dissolved salts. Xylem fibers gives mechanical strength. And later, the xylem parenchyma is responsible for storage of food and conducts water radially, means circularly. So you can see here, and to do all this, there should be what we call lignified walls. A special chemical called lignin should be there. And vessels are dead at maturity and found in flowering plants. Look at this. You can see here tracheids, xylem tracheid and xylem vessels. So these two are responsible for conduction of food and water. Look at the structure. There are in the tracheids there are so many dotted structures, green ones. These are all pits. And similarly, when we take the section of that, you can see there is a vertical as well as horizontal pits through which the water gets conducted or transported. And there is fibers, and these fibers will give, or they are responsible for mechanical strength. Look at that in the green one on the left side diagram. And right now don't see the phloem one, just concentrate on xylem. So in xylem you are seeing tracheids, you are seeing vessel, you are seeing fibers. Of course, another one is parenchyma tissue, which is responsible for storage of food. And Xylem tracheids, as you have seen just now, elongated cells overlap one another at their slanting end, slanting the curvature end, and do not have perforation plates. Perforations means small holes will be there. Have thick lignified walls. It is a must. Just now I said the root is breaking the big stones. So to resist that, it should be very strong, and the strength is because of the lignin, and they are dead at maturity. Xylem parenchyma, quite opposite. It's thin walls of cellulose, only living components of xylem. They are alive, involved in short distance transport, as I said, circular transport, help in storage of sugars, starch, lipids and tannins. Now look at this, the actual diagram, helical thickening. You can see that bordered pits, so through these pits water gets transported. And xylem fibers, these are dead elements, provide mechanical support. This is most important. Without that, root cannot penetrate. And xylem formed primary plant body by procambium is called primary xylem. So you got something called first formed xylem is called protoxylem, and the xylem that is formed afterwards later is called metaxylem. Later formed xylem is called metaxylem. And xylem can be exarch, that is protoxylem lies towards the outside of metaxylem, endarch, protoxylem inner to metaxylem, mesarch, protoxylem in between metaxylem, and centrarch, protoxylem in center of metaxylem. Depending upon the position, we are giving various technical words such as exarch, endarch, mesarch and centrarch. And as we are seeing here, we will see this. It is basically, this is how they will be. Look at this, just like the water pipelines, both vertical as well as horizontal lines will be there. Depending upon how these pits are formed, you have got varieties of the tracheids and vessels. All these are responsible for transport of water and minerals. Now we come to the phloem, another important tissue. Again, you will recollect from your memory, phloem is a special tissue which is responsible for conduction of food, and it is concerned with transport of organic substances. So it transports food inside the body of the plant. It consists of 4 cells. What are those? Sieve tubes. They are responsible for conducting channels formed of several enucleated cells. There is no nucleus, enucleated cells. Due to the presence of sieve pits, the end walls are commonly called sieve plates. So you got sieve tubes and sieve plates. And most important thing that you must remember, in most of the competitive exams you will be asked, is companion cells. They are thin-walled leaving cells on the sides of the sieve tubes. Look at that. Companion cells are thin-walled and leaving cells. They are alive. And then phloem parenchyma. Parenchymatous cells that store food, resins, latex. And then phloem fibers, they give strength and support. The first formed phloem is called primary phloem, consists of narrow sieve tubes and is referred as protophloem. And the phloem that is formed at the later stage is called metaphlloem. Tissues together form tissue system which are of 3 types. That we'll talk about that. Now let's see some of the photos of the phloem. Look at this. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different tissues are arranged right from epidermis, and the one is pith and the second circle. The first one is pith, second one is the VB, vascular bundle. So that consists of xylem and phloem. Depending upon where protoxylem is present, metaxylem is present, we give different technical words. Similarly, where protophloem is there, metaphlloem is there, we give different names. And these are very, very typical characteristics of particular are gone, like root, like stem. So based on that, we can identify whether it is a root or stem. If it is so, then we can further classify whether it is a dicot root or monocot root, or dicot stem or monocot stem. Let's see in our next classes. Sieve tubes formed by elongated sieve tube members. Cross walls have number of perforations. Perforation means holes. Mature sieve tube has peripheral cytoplasm, means peripheral means outside cytoplasm. Functions are controlled by nucleus of companion cells, and members are characteristically present in flowering plants. Look at this. So this is a sieve plate, and look at the perforations in the sieve plate, and identify the companion cell in this diagram. See the nucleus and sieve tube elements. So these are also, like just now we said, just like how xylem will have tunnels, phloem also will have tunnels. And compared to xylem, phloem is still stronger, having sieve tubes, sieve plates, etc. And this they have to be strong because they have to carry starch. They are responsible for that. So this sieve tube will be there. And sieve cells, sieve areas are found to occur throughout the end walls and lateral walls. These are leaving. Sieve cells are leaving and lack nucleus, enucleated, found in lower vascular plants. Now look at the sieve plate and sieve tube and companion cell. This is when we take the section, that is TS, transfer section, we can see like this. And virtually when you come to school and in our lab, you yourself will be taking a section and observing all this: sieve plate, sieve tubes, companion cells, xylem, phloem, etc. And then companion cells. I said you must remember, every time in UPSC as well as many exams, this will be asked. They are found associated with sieve tube members, sieve tube elements. Companion cells are connected by pit fields, help in maintaining the pressure gradient. I want you to remember this. They are live cells, of course, and they are responsible for maintaining pressure gradient. If this pressure gradient is not there, because of the G, gravitational force, the food may not go up. Remember, some trees are around 200 meters tall, and the tip of that tree also should get starch. And for that, there has to be pressure gradient. Unless pressure gradient is maintained, the tip of the plant cannot get the food. And the sieve plate, and look at this companion cell with a dense cytoplasm, and sieve tube. So this is our xylem. Basically, a xylem tissue will be like this: a sieve plate, a sieve tube, and companion cell with dense cytoplasm. And phloem parenchyma. Cells are elongated, cylindrical, have dense cytoplasm, prominent nucleus, stores food materials and other substances, and this is responsible for mainly storage. Now you can see here, this is, we are focusing on vascular bundle. You can see PX means protoxylem and MX means metaxylem. Protoxylem, as I said, is the first formed xylem. Metaxylem is xylem that is formed later. You can see the size of the cells. Protoxylem will be normally small in size, metaxylem will be big in size, and wall thickening also you can see. Okay, and even perforations you can see. So phloem fibers next, found along with other elements of phloem, elongated, thick, dead at maturity, and it is absent in primary phloem. There is no phloem fiber in primary phloem. So the first formed primary phloem is known as protophyllum. Later formed, just now I said, later formed is known as metaphyllum. So elements formed by vascular cambium constitute secondary phloem. Look at this. This is how the phloem tissue. So sieve elements, companion cells, parenchyma, and fibers, end walls, perforations you can see. So a phloem tissue basically will be like this. So try to recollect whatever technical words such as exarch, endarch, mesarch, and protoxylem, metaxylem, protophyllum, metaphyllum, all this, and try to identify where exactly they are present. We will continue our